Let's do it. Coffee's all ready. I cleaned out the filter. Oh, I'm doing sure. I cleaned out the bottom of the filter. So coffee drained at a much more appropriate time today. Didn't even know it was dirty down there. It just wasn't. It wasn't flowing. This might be a silly episode. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Thursday. It is May 13th, 2021. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Oh, that came out great. I had an ex-girlfriend, and I don't know why this memory is always stuck with me, but I just remember she looked at me one day and said, "Can we just sit on the couch and drink coffee all day?" I said, "Yeah." That was a good day. Actually, I don't remember the rest of the day. I just remember that moment. It was not a good relationship. I've blocked much of that time out of my mind. Just enough to remember not to make those mistakes again. But we both enjoyed coffee, so we had that. Kind of like that breakfast at Tiffany's song. That's something. Wasn't enough. Well, happy Thursday to you. I hope you had a fantabulous Wednesday. I hope Thursday is looking to be just as good or better as we start to get closer to the weekend. Thursday has been an interesting day for me the last few weeks because it is the day where I seem to catch up on things. Whatever little stuff is hanging from Wednesday tends to get done on Thursday, and then Friday I have a lot of freedom in how I spend my time. I won't quite call it a day off because it's not. I certainly still work, but I get to be more selective in what work that I do, and a lot of that work has been creative and ideas, and I look forward to that. Now, here's what I started yesterday. I started what we will tentatively call the flexibility program. It will not be called the flexibility program when it's rolled out. But I started sitting down and collecting the research I need because here's what we're going to do with this one. I think I mentioned this yesterday. It's going to be free, completely free. And it is meant to be an entry point into the whistlekick programs that we offer, and really whistlekick in general. You know, we'll put some cheap Facebook ads up and bring some people in. But here's the thing. Because the messaging that is in this program is going to be so counter to what most people have been taught, it has to be backed up by research. There's going to be a ton of research, a lot of science in this, because let's face it, most people don't get the flexibility they want because they're doing it wrong. And it took me about 5 minutes yesterday to come up with credible sources that show static stretching is not only not beneficial to flexibility, but it doesn't prevent injury. Huh. Why is that? Because of what we were taught about how stretching works. Oh, it tears the muscles a little bit and then they heal longer. Is not true. Because it actually has nothing to do with your muscles in most cases. It's your central nervous system. So the part that I was able to get through yesterday was the part where I pulled together the research and said, this does not work, and now I need to get the other part that says that it does, or what does. And what does is range of motion training. So I just need to get some more references, and I'm hoping to have that done by the end of the week. Not the program, the research. Because when you come and you blow up a paradigm, you gotta come prepared. It's like if I showed up and I said, oh, here's a good one. Here's one that makes people mad. Teaching punches as self-defense is dumb. Why is that dumb? How hard is the head? If you, like me, grew up playing soccer, you know that that part of your head is the hardest part on your body. It's why people headbutt. Now, obviously, there are smaller bones in the head and everything, but bones are pretty darn hard. How many people do you know that have a hard time punching soft wood? Hardwood. A brick wall. They're nervous to punch to the face, so they're going to go low. Just because we've done something a certain way doesn't mean it's the best way. Doesn't mean that we don't take knowledge. Am I comfortable punching somebody in the face? Yeah, but I've also punched brick walls. Not like haul off and punch a brick wall, but I've spent time, not recently, but back when I trained Shotokan, I used to get there early, and there was a brick building, and I would stand outside and slowly get more comfortable punching that. Here's the coffee table. That was that knuckle. Can you see it? Well, a little red compared to the first knuckle. A little red as well, but. Reality matters. Now, that doesn't mean traditional martial arts don't matter. Anybody who knows me knows I love traditional martial arts. It means that as we come to understand science better, as we come to understand the building blocks, good morning, Casper, as we come to understand all the other things going on with the body and the world and people, we make adjustments. It doesn't have to necessarily be adjustments to major things, but minor adjustments. If I was going to teach free-form self-defense, which would be probably a 6-month program at minimum, I would have people using open hands. Why? Because a slap to the face can be, in it for an untrained person, or lowly trained person, poorly trained person, we'll go with that, can be just as, if not more effective than a punch. And less risk of injury. How many people, if you teach, how many people do you see that the second knuckles ride out a little bit when they punch? So it's actually the first thing that makes contact. Some people's hands are even built that way. So how do you fix that? Oh, bend at the wrist. Oh, so now your wrist is going to break? There's a lot more there's a lot more work, a lot more practice that goes into punching someone in the face and not injuring yourself versus slapping someone in the face. Anybody can slap somebody in the face and not get hurt. Your hand might sting, but you're probably not going to break your fingers. Hurting yourself in self-defense is the opposite of the goal. So, anyway, going to work on that program, and I'm hoping to have a draft done next week. I'm still playing with a few different ideas on how we're going to implement this, but it's based around frequency and circles. I'll tell you that much. Frequency and circles. Well, it can't just be entire. Well, it's shoulders and hips. People have issues with shoulders and hips and ankles. People don't have issues with hinge joints, generally. People don't have issues with elbows and knees. People have issues with necks and shoulders and hips. This is me circling my hips. So we'll figure it out. I already know how this is going to go. We're going to get people who download it because it's going to be free. And they're going to read it. And it's going to disagree with what they think. And they're going to email me and call me stupid. Or they're going to comment on, you know what? That's not what's going to happen mostly. It's going to be the Facebook ads. People are going to comment, this is dumb, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to say, try it. What do you have to lose? Maybe we'll call it Stretching Shouldn't Hurt. No. Oh. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Well, it's Thursday, and do you know what that means? No? Martial Arts Radio episode. Episode 605, Rapid Fire Q&A. I believe it's number 3 with Andrew and I. And these are fun episodes because Andrew collects questions. He will ask people, sometimes posts in the Martial Arts Radio behind the scenes group where I posted a question yesterday and people are answering it. It's been fun watching people's answers. So if you're not in that group, you should check out that group. It is a group of martial artists that tolerates zero BS. Zero BS. So if you are frustrated at other martial arts groups that maybe are fully comprised of BS, maybe you want to join that group. We talk about martial arts radio and, by extension, the topics and the people. So sometimes Andrew will post in there and say, hey, if you got a question, to throw at Jeremy without him knowing about it ahead of time, post it here. And he'll grab it and delete it, or you can message him. And we've recorded the 4th one, and he's collecting questions for the 5th one. Casper says it's nice. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm so sick of everybody's crap. I really am. I'm sick of social media. I'm so incredibly frustrated. Social media has done some absolutely wonderful things, but I think we might have reached the tipping point, and it might be doing more harm than good now. And I don't know how to deal with that. As a business, social media is an important part of what we do. As a business, as a consultant, social media is still a wonderful, what we call it, an acquisition tool, a discovery tool, a way for my customers, my clients, to get new customers of their own. But as an individual, I'm so incredibly frustrated. I see things. I see people just... You know what I saw? Here's what I saw yesterday. I saw a post. Somebody who recently purchased a Tesla. Now, this is someone who's an incredibly hard worker. He's a photographer. He does wonderful work. And he has spent years building his business. And his last car, I think he had his last car for like 10, 12 years, if I remember correctly. And he bought a Tesla Model 3. Which, after incentives, is not super expensive. It's not some luxury car. Well, I mean, maybe it is, but it's, after incentives, you can get a low-end one in the 30s. You could get a used one in the 20s. It's not crazy expensive. And so he posts, maybe you're aware, there are, after that, what was it, Colonial Pipeline got hacked. A bunch of gas stations are running out of gas. And so he posted, with all these gas stations running out of gas, I'm happy that I switched over to having an electric car. That was the tone of the message. The words might be slightly different. And then someone who was on his friends list, because this is Facebook, blows up at him. Stop bragging about what you have. Not all of us are able to have. And it was really weird. It was really out of left field. Now, it was clear that this person felt badly about themselves, felt badly about their choices, their car, whatever. And instead of finding the ability to be happy for their friend, was genuinely upset at their friend for this sentiment. You have something I don't have, and I'm mad at you for it. That's really what it was. Now, in real life, that doesn't happen. People don't call you up and say, I'm mad at you for having a Tesla. They don't pull up to your house and knock on your door and say, I'm mad at you for having a Tesla. But they'll tell you on social media. Part of the reason at Whistlekick we don't provide any information on technique is because there would be a group of people who would say, it's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, you're doing it wrong. And our given mission here is to be unifying. And so everything we do has to be as above the likelihood of hate and anger as it can be. Which unfortunately, in the current climate, good morning, Stacy, is part of the reason that we don't have more people paying attention. But I believe fully that in the coming years, people will get very frustrated at the division and the anger and the hate. And they will realize, hey, whistlekick doesn't engage in that. They don't make fun of other martial artists. They don't post fail videos. They try to give an equal platform to everyone. I had a brief message conversation with Andrew yesterday, and we were talking about another podcast. Not another one that we would do, but one that exists. And it was important for him to know, and it's important for me to let all of you know. So it is no secret that we are the most prolific. If we are not the biggest by download numbers, we're definitely the biggest by number of episodes. But no matter how you slice it, we are at least one of the larger martial arts podcasts. And it's interesting because there are a number of martial arts podcasters that we have openly had on the show. They have not seemed to be so keen on having me on their show. That's fine. I think some of them feel defensive that somehow putting me on their show is going to hurt their show. I don't know how. But more importantly, what if the reverse was true? What if us having another podcaster on our shows brought people in and they said, I like this other person in their show better. Jeremy, I'm not going to listen to martial arts radio anymore. I'm going to go listen to Joe's karate podcast. Hopefully there isn't a show called that, because it's meant to be generic. I would say cool, as long as you listen. Because I assume if you listen to a podcast, it's going to keep you more engaged in martial arts, and you're more likely to stick around as a martial artist. And the goal of whistlekick is to bring people in and keep them in the martial arts. And if they do that, martial arts will grow, and hopefully, along the way, some of those people will buy some things from us. That's our business model. So when Andrew and I were talking about this particular show, that I'm not going to name, I was really explicit, maybe even to the point of being pushy. And I said, look, when I started this show, nobody wanted to help me out. Nobody wanted to put me on their show. Nobody wanted to give me advice. Nobody supported me. Early on, what we got was, hey, the first 3 guests here are all Taekwondo. I guess this is a Taekwondo show posing as a martial arts show. I remember that comment vividly from 6 years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5 guests were Taekwondo. Because that's who I had access to. That's who said yes to me early on. People that I knew well. Number 6 was a Shotokan guy. Who was 7? 8 was Shotokan. I think 9 was also Shotokan. The point being, if somebody out there has a show, I'm going to use this platform to help them grow, to support them, because that's what I'm about. That's what we are about. I'm going to help people in a way that nobody helped me, because I think that's the right thing to do. Now, speaking of help, some of you helped me by giving me stuff to talk about. So let's check out what you gave me to talk about. How do you give me stuff to talk about? You leave it in the comment section below, or if you listen, you email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com. Thank you to Frank, as always, Frank, but thank you to Frank for these quotes today from Joe Louis. Not Joe Louis, the kickboxer, karate fighter, friend of Bill Wallace, but Joe Louis, Louis, the boxer. And he was born today, he has passed away, of course, in 1914. I hope they're still making women like my mama. She always told me to do the right thing. She always told me to have pride in myself. She said a good name is better than money. When you get right down to it, everything is about relationships. The people who watch this show are more likely to be people that I have had some engagement with. Whether you've been on the show or are coming on the show, or we've trained together, or we've worked together, or we're friends, versus complete strangers. Think of the people that you turn to when you're looking for a new job. You tell your friends and family first. They're the people most likely to help you. Oh, I know a spot. I know a person. I know a job. Right? And thus, the more you can build relationships, the more you foster those relationships, you identify people who you can be mutually beneficial to, the better things go. Take that example of that person who didn't like that their friend bought a Tesla. They damaged that relationship. Who's going to be willing to step in and help? Now, it came out through the thread that they were struggling, their car was having issues, etc. But they put that negative out into the world. People don't want to associate with that. Think about people you know who are constantly complaining, frustrated, and angry. It sucks. It's exhausting. Who wants to be around that? I try to be positive. I try to be optimistic. I try to bring good to the people around me. My goal when I engage with someone is that I make their day a little better. And that can be in a professional setting or at a restaurant or the grocery store, whatever it is. Hey, how's your day? I hope we've been good customers. My friend Chris, when we go out to eat, he's a riot, and the two of us play off each other pretty well. And we've had some pretty long and fun conversations with servers at restaurants. Men, women, all ages. We just have a good time. Because the goal, he's on, we've not talked about this, but he's on the same line I am. Let's make the day, the evening, the experience for that other person better. Let's help them have a better day because they met us. And I do that as an individual, and I encourage all of you to do that too. If you can prioritize other people and giving them a positive experience, things go better. A good name is better than money. There's never been a boxer better than Joe Louis. You'd take one shot from him, and you were sure he'd have 7 or 8 more coming for you. Certainly Muhammad Ali was the greatest man to ever fight, but not the greatest boxer. George Foreman. You know, I am not up on my boxing. I find boxing interesting, but not exciting. And thus I've not really watched it. I'll catch it once in a while. I've watched big fights. You know, I watched Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, only because it reached the level of a cultural moment. It wasn't anything that I watched because it was boxing. I watched it because everybody else was going to watch it. It was okay. I have friends who box. I'll gladly support them. I'll train with them. I'll watch them. I'll be in their court. Whatever. Literally or metaphorically. But the idea that Joe Louis was the greatest boxer, I've heard that before, but, you know, George Foreman knows his stuff. So George Foreman says he was the greatest boxer. Maybe he was. Coffee is running low. 2 more. I just give lip service to being the greatest. He was the greatest. Muhammad Ali. Well, I guess that settles it. If Muhammad Ali says that Joe Louis was the greatest boxer of all time, I guess he really was. Because who would know better than Muhammad Ali? If George Foreman and Muhammad Ali agree on somebody being the greatest at the thing that they did very well, I think I would take their words for it. Maybe I need to learn more about Joe Louis. Maybe we need a Joe Louis episode. Now there are people out there who don't think of boxing as a martial art. I do. Or I should say it can be. Because what's my definition of a martial art? Personal development through the practice or perspective or however you want to plug that part in of hand-to-hand combat. Boxing's clearly hand-to-hand combat. You could certainly take what you learned as a boxer and defend yourself. And when you look at circumstances like Mike Tyson's a great example. Had a pretty rough upbringing and credits boxing to helping him. That's personal development, that's personal growth. And there are plenty of other people who would attribute boxing in the same way. So is it a traditional martial art in the same way that karate and taekwondo and kung fu are? No. But I think of it as a traditional martial art, or at least it can be. You could also train karate in a very non-traditional martial art way. You can do karate not as a martial art, but as a self-defense practice or as a cardio practice. It doesn't have to be a martial art. This is a great quote to end on. And I want to thank you for watching. We're listening. Thanks for coming by. And give me some stuff for tomorrow. Remember, we do this show every weekday, 6:30 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube. You can catch it later. You don't have to watch live, but it's more fun live and more fun when people watching are chiming in with thoughts. And if you're watching, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, check out Martial Arts Radio episode 605. And here we go with the last one. Every time I hear the name Joe Louis, my nose starts to bleed. Tommy Farr. I'm assuming Tommy Farr is somebody who fought Joe Louis. But that is a funny quote. I like that. That's good stuff. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Take care. I'm going to see you tomorrow. And, yeah. Stay tuned. There's an announcement coming out about Martial Journal Print. We're posting the link for everybody to sign up now. Stay tuned. Take care. Peace.